Good morning, and welcome to the 6th edition of Meet Inquirer Multimedia. Once a month, we bring a notable newsmaker to the hot seat to be interviewed by our different platforms: the Philippine Daily Inquirer, INQUIRER.net, Radyo Inquirer, Inquirer Bandera, Inquirer Libre, Cebu Daily News, and our social media and mobile platforms. Our forum will be streamed live on Inquirer.net with a delayed broadcast on Radyo Inquirer 990 AM. We are live on social and mobile at hashtag Meet Inquirer. This morning, we have a special edition because aside from meeting people, we will also be meeting a machine that will play a crucial role in our nation's life in just over 1 week. And amid talk about possible cheating and discrepancies and fraud in our automated elections, we are happy to have Smartmatic executives here in this forum to answer these questions. At this point, may I call on our President and CEO, Ms. Sandy Prieto Romualdez, for her welcome remarks.
Executives from Team Smartmatic, particularly their General Manager, Mr. Eli Moreno, their Head for Voter Education, Attorney Karen Jimeno, and their Sales Technical Coordinator, Mr. Miguel Avila. To fellow voters and to Team Inquirer, good morning. As Juliet said, we only have 10 days to go. I can't imagine that we're finally here in the home stretch, and I feel we have more concerns than we should actually be having. There's still talk of concern about cheating, about the ability of there to be proper transmission, even some talk, very loose talk of still some areas that might have go manual voting, and it's already just 10 days to go. And I'm sure the executives from Smartmatic are quick to say that those are unsubstantiated. So it's very good that we have them here, particularly because when we started off in the Inquirer in studying what we wanted to do and achieve as a news organization in these very important elections, we put as a priority that we wanted to be a very important source for news and information to help the voters vote wisely. As we coined it, we put think, vote, because although we feel that a lot of them already are set, it's important for us to still take a step back. So we did a lot of things in this elections that were different from the past. We really tried to make it issue based. And we realized that it's important that we had an Inquirer Multimedia with Smartmatic because even with all that, part of the process, a very important part of the process is what we will be taking up today. So again, thank you for the Smartmatic team for being here and allowing our news editors and reporters to engage with you. So let's have a very important think process this morning.
Thank you, Ma'am Sandy. At this point, I would like to turn this over to our distinguished moderator, Inquirer.net Editor-in-Chief, John Nery.
Thank you, Juliet. Okay, third time is the charm. Again, welcome to Smartmatic Meets Inquirer Multimedia. We are live on Facebook. We are live on the Inquirer News channel on YouTube. We are live as well on INQUIRER.net itself, the country's leading news website. We are also active in the social media, in the chat app space. We are carried on Viber, on Kakao, on WeChat, on FireChat, and we are actually live on Line. We are, of course, also on Twitter. Follow us at INQUIRER.net and at team_Inquirer. The hashtag is Meet Inquirer. We have reporters from all our platforms: the Philippine Daily Inquirer, INQUIRER.net, Inquirer Bandera, Radyo Inquirer, Inquirer Libre, and we will have a question from our Mindanao Bureau, based in Davao, from our Bureau Chief himself. Our format is twofold. In the first maybe 15 to 20 minutes, we will have a live demonstration of the vote counting machine. And we will have our friends from Smartmatic conduct the live demonstration. After that, we will have an open forum, a Q&A with the reporters, with the news editors, and we will be fielding questions from social media as well. I think the process is quite clear. Now it's my happy task to serve as moderator and to introduce to you our distinguished resource persons. Let me start with the new 9-month-old general manager of Smartmatic Philippines. I told him he's ready to give birth. Mr. Eli Moreno, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation also to this meeting.
And of course, we also have the Smartmatic Philippines head of voter education, somebody that we all know, Attorney Karen Jimeno.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us here.
Okay, so with indulgence of our audience, now we are going to move to the first part of the forum, and that is we are going to invite Eli, Karen, and also Miguel Avila to demonstrate the use of the vote counting machine. Now, earlier, we've asked 6 members of the Inquirer family to fill out a mock ballot. Okay, this is not an actual ballot. We are voting for the likes of Luke Skywalker and Jose Rizal. I wonder who will win. So they've filled this up. Now, this will be part of the live demonstration. Now, at this point, I'd like to ask Karen and Eli, and also Mix, to please kindly demonstrate the use of the VCM.
We'll start off with our voters to come over and feed the ballots. So we'll simulate what it would be like during election day, because that's the first interaction with the machine. You've already shaded the ballots, so we'll have a voter approach the vote counting machine. Okay.
Maybe you can stay there.
So, yes, so after shading everything, all your candidates in the ballots, what you do is approach the vote counting machine, and the ballots can be fed into the machines in any orientation. Either way, you can test it if it's upside down or even bottom to top. You'll see what happens. It's going to be red, so you can try it out. So what we're seeing now on the screen is it's saying it's processing. And one of the things that it's doing is checking if it meets the security features. And it will automatically say voting time has expired. That's your voter's receipt being printed. And on election day, a poll clerk will be on standby to fold the receipt so that he doesn't see who you voted for. And the poll clerk will cut the voter receipt for you.
Can I check it?
Yes, and that's from there, you will get an indelible ink on your finger. They'll hand over the voter's receipt and you'll step aside to review, and then you're supposed to deposit that in a separate box.
Yeah, with Ariana Grande. Yes. Does it match what you voted? Yeah, Ariana Grande is there.
So you're just, yeah, and you're supposed to leave it there. Yeah. So I think we'll have the next voter, but in the meantime, let me explain that for voters, it's normal to see the screen saying your voting time has expired, because originally the voting machines were designed in a way that you can review on screen who you voted for, but the decision of COMELEC was to deactivate that. That's why you only have a split second and it times out by itself, because their decision was that it will make it will take up too much time to review on screen and then wait for the voter's receipt. So now you can only review your votes through the voter's receipt. So try it.
Karen, what happens if there's a discrepancy between what she sees in the receipt and the actual vote?
That's a good question. If there's a discrepancy between the voter's receipt and what the voter feels is what's shaded in the ballot, they should approach a Board of Election Inspector and state their objections. The BEI, or Board of Election Inspector, is required to note down those complaints and objections. And the voter should sign the voter's receipt, and that voter's receipt would be attached to the minutes. And they will be kept for investigation of the COMELEC.
So does the vote still count and then but under protest or it's not counted?
This is something that COMELEC should clarify in the rules, but in terms of the vote counting machine, it will count the ballot. It's programmed in a way that the shaded areas will be counted. So initially, they will be part of the count that will be transmitted, and it's up to COMELEC to decide. Yes, it's the same way with election protests. They have the ballots preserved, and then they compare the ballots with the electronic results. But I'm curious so far, Arlene, it's a match? Okay.
It will show.
Okay.
We'll do one also with abstention or
So-
with on the.
We encourage you to review the voter's receipt. Yes, and then
You
let us know.
Cool. It matches everything. We have Taylor Swift here, so it's good.
Please.
You put that in the ballot box and in the receptacle.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another voter, please.
But I'm very impressed so far. What I'm seeing is that everyone really shaded the circles, the ovals, very well. And that's really crucial to making sure that your votes are read properly.
The voter needs to fully shade their oval, and part of the instructions that I was giving at the beginning as a BI is make sure you fully shade your oval and also make sure to take your receipt at the end of the process.
Okay, I'm curious if anyone here did not shade certain positions, any candidate for certain positions, because you'll be able to see the difference in your voter's receipt. If you don't shade any candidate for a position, your voter's receipt will say abstention. But if you shade less than the required, for instance, if we have 12 senators to vote for, and if you only shade 5 senators, the 7 other positions, other names that were not shaded, will be reflected as undervote. So it will have the names candidate A, candidate B, candidate C, and then the rest you'll see in your voter's receipt. It's going to say undervote, undervote, undervote for the number of candidates that you did not vote for.
So it says I didn't vote for any senator and it says abstention.
Yes.
So that
Correct.
should be okay.
Miss Sandy, can you tell us if it matches?
Yes, Gabriela Silang and then VP Simba.
So now we know your preference. And see, Miss Sandy, you have to put it in a box. But
So we've got people and animals join our campaign.
But I think this is what we can see.
That's a
Yes,
receptacle.
there's no.
No,
So
you cannot.
one of the important things to know is that we are avoiding vote buying. Also, that's why COMELEC wants people to leave their voters' receipts in a separate receptacle. But what we can see here is, as voters, we're not used to having a voter's receipt, so we tend to look at it and then leave or try to leave with it. That's illegal. That's considered an election offense if you bring it home. So it's very important to. It's mala prohibita. Under the law, it means good faith is not counted. Oh, sorry. No excuse.
Okay. Okay. In that case,
Yeah.
We only voted for 3 senators. What does it say?
Undervote.
so in case,
Yes.
correct.
So for us, what's really important is for voters to not overvote, because I guess, if we have other voters here that have not fed the ballots, you can try to overvote, shade extra, and then yes,
Correct.
overvote means that your vote for that position will not be counted. So imagine for senators, after taking all the effort of shading 12 candidates, and then you forgot someone, and you said, I'm going to add this person because gusto ko talaga siyang iboto. Yung 13, all of that, everything you shaded there will not be counted. So it will really waste that position. Imagine 12 senators, then just because you exceeded, sumobra ka ng isa, hindi na mabibilang yung buong lahat ng senators ninyo.
How many do we have? Do we have any other?
Yeah. And another thing that you can try to do is yung mga nag-vote na previously, you can try to feed your ballot in the machine again and see what's going to happen. If it's been previously read, tatanggapin ba ulit? You can try that, yeah. So here we have the ballots that supposedly were already inside the receptacle. Yeah, sure. Oo, or try to put an X.
We will get the ballot, and after you vote, we will refeed it also. So you see what happens if you refeed your ballot.
So in this case, what did you do with your ballot?
I overvoted.
For which position?
Sige, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out from the voters' receipts. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I'll tell you later.
In real, mahaba pa yun.
Does it match your option?
Abstention, yes. But for senator... Yeah, I overvoted for president and for senator.
So
Yeah.
basically, all the shades in senators were not counted anymore. Yeah.
Of course, in the polling precinct, the voters will not get the ballots
Yeah.
to compare.
And-
No, they can compare it against, for example, their what they
Okay.
remember they voted for, or also, I believe there's a word in Tagalog for código.
Código, yeah.
Spanish. That's why I know it.
Yeah. So here, what we're able to show is that, eto, nag-vote na si kanina, pinasok niya na yung ballot, then she tried to feed the ballot again. It was rejected.
Previously.
Yeah.
No, in this case, we did it on purpose just to show that if you get that.
Oh, okay. So we have two scenarios there. One is, first, Juliet's ballot was returned because it was previously read by the machine. So what we're trying to show here is that it's never going to happen that ballots or votes will be counted more than once, because the machine knows that a ballot has been read previously. So, wala na yung problema dati sa manual elections na naligaw yung balota or pinasok ulit sa ibang precinct para mabilang ulit. Wala nang ganon, because the vote counting machines can detect this ballot has already been read. And in terms of overvoting, if you overvote, so let's say yung katulad ng ginawa ni Juliet, 2 president, 13 na senators. So lahat yon overvote, hindi binilang yung votes for those positions. She can't receive an additional ballot. Cannot. Yeah. The COMELEC came out with a resolution recently saying you can get an extra ballot if the rejection is through no fault of the voter. That assumes na nakakuha ka ng ballot, let's say, that does not meet. Let's look at the scenarios kung kailan siya i-reject. Pagka hindi nagko-comply with the security features, if you look at the ballots, there's so many security features. the shape by itself is irregular. 'Di ba? Wala kang makikita na commercially available na bond paper or anything na ganyan yung shape. And it's printed on a special security paper. And then underneath, you have a barcode that's unique to each voter. It's unique, 55 million, yeah, unique permutations. And then you have here a box where the Board of Election Inspector, BEI Chairman, is supposed to sign. And then timing marks. This is, okay, very technical, but timing marks are there because it allows the vote counting machine to detect where you shaded. And that's very crucial to understand yung mga chismis na, oh, pre-programmed na piliin yung isang candidate. That's not gonna happen because the source code that's running the vote counting machines don't even know the names of the candidates or their numbers in the ballots. They're meant to detect based on the positions, based on the timing marks. So you can't pre-program it to say candidate A, if candidate A is shaded, then choose candidate B. That's not gonna happen. Again, another important thing to know is that this is precinct specific. What does that mean? Nakamatch yan with the vote counting machines per precinct or polling center. So, if you're a voter na naliligaw, yung ballot mo, tinatry mong ilagay sa ibang vote counting machine in a precinct where it does not belong, it's going to get rejected. So, those are the possible scenarios that your ballot might be rejected if it does not meet any of the security features, meaning it's fake. It will also look for the UV ink. There's a lamp inside the vote counting machine that's designated specifically for identifying the UV ink as one of the security features as well. Yes. So, yes. Okay, those are, I went through the security features as a point for possibilities why your ballot might get rejected. If it does not meet the right security features, it might be a fake ballot. So, if you're one of those voters, it gets rejected, you can get an additional ballot because it's not your fault. But if you overvote or you undervoted pero nakast na yung vote nyo and you're saying, nakalimutan ko bumoto for president, hinuli ko pa naman yun kasi hindi ako makadecide. I'm sorry, but they won't give you an additional ballot. So, you know, our job is to shade. Let's do it very well. Di ba? Kaya nga, it helps to have a código, what Ellie said, because try to reflect before election day. Now we have 10 days to go. Try to list down who you want to vote for so that when you're there, you just shade them right away and know how many people you're supposed to vote for. Senators, 12. And then you have councilors, 8. Yes? Yes, you're allowed to bring your own código, your list of candidates that you will vote for. And when you have doubts, wag na muna kayo mag-shade, di ba? Let's say, for president, hindi pa kayo decided. Wag niyo muna i-shade until sure na kayo na, sige, ito na yung candidate na to. Because you can change it. Even if you put an X mark dun sa na-shade nyo na, hindi nyo na pwedeng burahin yun. It's going to be an overvote. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, sir. There is programming in the machine. Per machine, there is a maximum number of voters that comes with the POP. The project of presence of the COMELEC was set already, and there is a maximum number of votes which matches the number of ballots that were printed. Correct, sir.
So, this is, our voter is Miss
Bernadette po.
Okay, si Bernadette, for some positions, linagyan niya ng X, at linagyan niya ng check. Yes, we'll have Bernadette check against the voter's receipts kung ano yung, how the machine reads that. Ito, sige.
Does it match your choices?
Yeah.
Yes po.
But I want you to share with them kasi meron siyang positions na hindi niya finally shade. Let's see. For president, it's a small dot, hindi shade. Did it read?
It was read as abstention po.
Abstention. That's the... Yeah. So,
It was read as Barry Manilow, though it was a check mark.
okay, so we see here, check siya, pero binasa pa rin na ang vote niya for provincial vice governor is Barry Manilow. Yes, pero check, hindi shade. But tingnan niyo compared sa president, natuldok lang, pero sinabi abstention, meaning hindi kinount tong vote na to. The kinount. Tingnan nyo, yung level ng check, mas maraming natamaang shade sa loob ng oval compared to this small dot. And yeah, so let's see. Etong mayor, imbes na i-shade, sinircle niya yung labas. What's the vote in your voter's receipt? Adam Sandler pa rin. So nabasa. And the X? Okay, so nabasa rin yung X. And then I want you to show them what you did sa Vice President half shade. Okay, na red. It was still red. Yes. So the explanation here is that COMELEC assigned a specific threshold amount. Kung how much of the oval, if you shade it, will count as a vote. So it was up to COMELEC's decision. It's like any computer program where you can decide ano yung how will the machine react to something. So their decision was pag ganito kaliit, that looks about what 20% of shading, it's not going to be red. Pero yung check, halos na-cover niya yung buong oval. Kaya nag-register pa rin siya as having enough shade to count as a vote. Another thing would be member House of Representatives. Isang almost fully shaded at saka isang konti lang yung shade. How was this read? So it was considered an overvote. So yung number 3 dito na may konting shade, it was big enough to be counted. So naging overvote siya. And this is what's important nga na kung nagdadalawang isip kayo, baka may iba lagyan na maliit na marka para sabihin, para matandaan ko na pinag-iisipan ko siya. It might be an overvote if that marker is big enough. So again, avoid making unnecessary marks in your ballot. And I'm also bringing this up because this is related to what we call the random manual audit to avoid confusion. Kasi, fine, let's say, nabasa nga yung check niya, di ba? Because it was big enough to cover the oval. But COMELEC is also implementing what you call a random manual audit wherein they have election watchdogs deploying all around the Philippines and randomly choosing polling centers to conduct a manual audit. What will they do there? Pag na-close na yung voting, they will open the ballot box, take out all the ballots, and do their own manual count and check it as against the electronic results. If I were to give you Bernadette's ballot, tas sabihin ko, all of you, 1 copy each of all the ballots here, and you'll see Bernadette's ballot. Nakita niyo yung check. Kanina, I was asking, kanina tinatanong niyo, how did the machine read it? Binasa. But some of you might guess, hindi babasahin yan, hindi naman yan fully shade, di ba? This is more vague. Look at this one. It looks like a dot, pero hindi fully shaded. Some of you might say, that should not count as a vote. Hindi yan babasahin ng machine. But some may say, no, it's shaded enough. It should count. So this is where we see a discrepancy. Why it happens? Because human perception will vary. That's why there's a research from Rice University that said if you have a manual or human audit, there's usually a 2% discrepancy expected because of human error in perception as against a machine. Well, for COMELEC, there's they will rely on the ballots and the electronic results. But the random manual audit is one of the ways for transparency and for checking auditability. But at the end of the day, under the law, it's the electronic results that will prevail. And it is again checked. And you'll see, again, in the same way that for us, you have the documentary proof where you see where the discrepancy may lie, then you can see whether it's a cause for concern, whether it points to fraud, or whether it's within the permissible range of human error. So, but to help the people conducting the random manual audit, maging klaro na rin tayo sa boto natin na i-shade na natin ng maayos, properly, di ba? Para wala na tayong problema dun sa integrity ng elections.
In her case, because she overvoted, the senator won't be counted, but the other positions will.
Yes. So it will still be red. And there's a smiley face here. And meron ditong marka na wala sa shade. And here, Bernadette, did you see your voter's receipt if any of these were red?
The president?
Yes, but yung mga yeah, here. Pero yung mga ganitong marka, yan, tapos may smiling face dito. Ito, dumaan siya, yung number 54, Detroit Pistons. Can you check? Nabasa ba siya as party list? Yep, party list? Yeah. So you see, yung Detroit Pistons may dalawa siyang mark over the shaded area or the oval. Nabasa siya. Itong smiling face, yung mga ibang markings niya, hindi na binasa. It's outside of the shade, so hindi siya nababasa. But again, voters, please don't do this.
Okay, so this is a classic example of pasaway ballot. Everything wrong that you can do.
Exactly, and that's important, and I believe that that's the most important part that personally think that the media should cover now, to teach 55 million persons on how they have to vote, how they have to get the receipt, don't take it home. All those messages have to be very clear to the voters, because this is 55 million persons that COMELEC has to train, and it's really a very difficult task.
And just to add to that, imagine last Saturday during the transmission readiness test, merong voter na taga dito sa Metro Manila, pero may edad na. What he did, instead of shading the ballots, and this was not even on purpose to test the machine, he really circled the ovals outside. So walang nabilang sa ballot niya at all. And again, this just shows the lack of awareness among our voters. So, for our voters, kung hindi ka sure kung anong gagawin, please take the initiative to really find out. Yeah. So, voters are supposed to use, ganito yung itsura niya talaga, yung marking pens na ipoprovide ng COMELEC sa polling center. So, don't use your own ball pen, don't use your own pen, but don't bring that home. This is, again, election paraphernalia. It's not supposed to be a souvenir. So, si Arlene talaga, kanina pa yan eh. Humihingi ng... So, again, this is election paraphernalia. It's an election offense to bring it home. But please use this. But we did get queries from overseas voters. Oh, Bernadette. Kanina, yan ang pasaway. But for overseas voters, if you go to a consul to vote, they will provide this. But for those who had to undergo postal voting, wherein the ballots were mailed to them, they did not receive a pen. So the advice of our Smartmatic tech people was that you can use any permanent black marker. Yes, that's the best. Try to avoid ball pens because it will probably be red, but again, kasi yung range
Why
nung
take the risk?
tinta magkakaiba eh. Why risk, diba, na masayang yung vote? Oo nga, markers.
Okay,
made for it.
maybe just a few more. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like
Ellie.
to ask a question. Can the persons who voted raise your hand? Did it accurately counted your votes?
Okay.
Okay, just a few more, and maybe more of the stupid question variety.
Sure.
So where do the ballots go?
No questions are stupid. I
Okay.
believe all questions are very
Where
interesting.
do the ballots go in an actual
In the actual
precinct?
election, there will be a ballot box. It's a translucent plastic ballot box,
And it's directly connected to the machine.
directly connected. The machine is just on top
There's
of it, and it
no
will
human intervention.
no human intervention at all. Yes.
Okay. Is there a prescribed way of cutting the
No, actually, there's not. If you see, and I will just take one.
No, I mean the voter's receipt.
No, there's none. I can also cut it by hand, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We have the scissors because Comelec instructed the BIs to use the scissors,
Okay.
but you also can just steer it, okay? I will show you that. So there's none. There's no specific way of cutting it.
Okay. All right. Maybe we can have we can have a tally. What's the
Sure.
in our
Here, Ellie can show you that he can cut it from the machine directly. See? Very cleanly. But we've tested before. Some people try to forcibly snag the paper out, and that might cause problems, diba? Like jamming, for instance. So,
okay.
Comelec
To do
said, better to have someone cut it from the machine.
God forbid, the machine in the particular precinct malfunctions, what are your contingencies?
There are 5,000 or around 5,000 machines that are
Let's have
deployed for contingency purposes in all the municipalities.
The tally.
So the election officers from Comelec will be able to react fast, and knowing where that machine has a problem, the technician from Smartmatic and the BI that is there will report that information to the National Support Center, which is a call center of more than 600 persons that we have set. They will give the support, they will try to fix the problem, and if by any chance they cannot fix that problem, they will authorize the replacement of that equipment. So the EOs from Comelec
No, but
will bring
it's
this
wait for the
machine,
results.
the new machine,
Ah,
the
yeah, but how
contingency
many
machine,
ballots there are?
to that
Okay.
polling center, and basically they will take the SD cards that are from the original machine and put it in the contingency machine, and now this contingency machine gets the identity. Yes, it can continue. The votes are still counted in the SD cards. Nothing happens. They just continue voting.
The SD cards are not specific to the machine.
The SD cards are precinct specific, so they will take that. They will take that. Correct. They are not specific to this machine. They are specific to the precinct. So they will take those SD cards, put it in the contingency machine, and now this contingency machine gets the identity of the previous machine.
Okay. Maybe we can reserve the questions for the second part. Right now, let's end this live demo.
Sure.
Let's have a tally. Maybe who won for president, vice president, and maybe the top 6 senators.
That's it. Mix.
Mix is doing what the Board of Election BEI chairman and members will do. They're required to use these. They call it digital or I buttons. They have a microchip in the middle. They're unique to each of the chairman and members. So it's like a high-tech key. And there's a receptacle there that's really meant for this. And they're required to put in their PINs, personal identification numbers, and passwords. So it's hard. No one can just come up to the machine and start operating it themselves. You need all of those three: PIN, password, and I button. And what he's doing now is closing the voting. So after the last voter in each polling center finishes casting their ballots, then the BEI can then close the votes, and that will also initiate what you call the printing of the election returns. That's an automatic paper trail of the count. That's on top of the electronic transmission of the results. So you have the machine directly transmitting the results per machine to the transparency server, which is under the supervision of KBP. And that's the media can start reporting the votes as they come in. Tapos meron tayong central server na Comelec naman yung nagmaman. And
When do the BEIs get the keys, the electronic keys?
the BEIs,
Yeah.
that's after, before the start of the election, before election day. Kasama siya dun sa i-deliver per polling center.
The kit, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can read the.
I will let you read the results
Yeah.
and the winners.
You can be the BEI chairman for this.
So,
As you can see here,
okay.
ang itsura ng election returns is it has all the names of the candidates plus the corresponding total number of votes per person. So our winner for president
Oh,
is
but it comes out alphabetical. It doesn't come out as like the one with the highest number of votes. Okay.
no, it's alphabetical. Yeah.
Okay, so we started in the early vote. We had it was a dead heat between Ariana Grande and Taylor Swift, but because of the Think Vote campaign, There is a tie for president between Jose Rizal and Juan Luna. 2 votes each out of 12. Okay, for vice president, uh, it's a landslide of Lion King proportions for Simba. 4 out of the 12 votes. And for senator, actually marami to. I don't know his... Alden Richards gets 7 votes. Agot Isidro, 5. Carlo Aquino, 5. Carmi Martin, 4. And a few others. Alice Dixon, 3.
In the
Okay.
precinct, 8 copies of the ERs, the election returns, will be printed. Afterwards, results will be electronically transmitted, and then 22 additional copies of those ERs will be also printed. Those ERs are distributed to different persons in the polling centers according to some rules that COMELEC has established. To minority parties, majority parties, I understand PPCRB and some other factors also gets a copy.
So this is the actual election return.
Yeah, it looks
Yes.
like this. That's why yung naging issue yung thermal paper, yung how much supply,
Time,
additional time is needed when you're printing voters' receipts.
As part of the election return, you will see information that is the hash code. And the hash code is, let's say, like the fingerprint of the software, okay? This hash code is the one that was certified by the international entities and that was audited also by the political parties. So everybody will know that the machine is using the software that was certified by all those groups because they can see that fingerprint here.
Yeah. And let me translate that into what issues are addressed by that fact. You know how a lot of Filipinos, there are several conspiracy theories. One of them na, how do we know na hindi programmed yung machine from the start to favor certain candidates? The source code is like the software that runs your computer. So it's the software that runs the vote counting machines and the whole election management system. To ensure independence and transparency, this was reviewed by a separate certification agency called SLI Global Solutions. It's a US-based company that was contracted, hired by COMELEC separately. It's not related to Smartmatic, not related to COMELEC. They came here to review the source code by themselves, and this is parallel dun sa review ng political parties and election watchdogs that was open to the public 7 months before election. So sila mismo, yung mga political parties, candidates, they can review the source code. They should have 7 months before the election. But SLI certified that the review showed that there were no malicious codes na hindi program para mangdaya yung source code na gagamitin. And this source code was deposited by COMELEC with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas para meron tayong secure copy to check the source code against. The hash code is like the unique fingerprint of that source code or software. So, ako nga, I like using the analogy serial number, but Ellie says it's more, because he's more of a technical guy, he said it's more like a fingerprint. It's that unique. So, what's important is that the election returns will show, this is the hash code. Software version 1. Blah, OS version, sobrang haba niya. That's why I call it more of a serial number. But it's very alphanumeric na mahaba. But this is what you check. When you start the vote counting machine, it will also reflect this hash code. So that ako, if I'm a candidate, I know na, yan yung sinertify nung certification agency from the US na naka-deposit ngayon sa central bank. That's why I know that this is the exact source code that I should have also reviewed, that I can compare against the BSP's source code. And this is reflected in all of the election return copies. And the beauty of having 8 copies for na printed right away na ipapamigay, apart from the electronic transmission, everyone gets to check against each other. Let's say it said 800 votes for candidate A as president. Pagkakuha ko pa lang nito, my copy would also say 800 candidates. I can check the transparency server. 800 candidates ba yung lumabas dyan? And then I can also check against another person, the dominant minority party. Do we have the same? Does it say 800 as well? And then again, you have 22 additional copies that are distributed. That includes election watchdogs that are meant, wala silang candidates, but they're also meant to check the integrity and transparency of the elections. You have that wide extent of auditability that was not available under manual elections. So pag hindi nag-match, you're able to detect right away na, okay, may irregularity, saan nanggaling yung cheating? Because that allows you to automatically detect, patingin nga na election return mo, does it have all of the security features to make sure that that's an authentic election return? Because what we see here is that the BEI members will put their thumb marks here to say it is an authentic election return. It will have the hash code as well. Apart from having like the same results as all the other 30 copies, you're able to check right away, is yours authentic? Kanino yung hindi totoo? And then let's check what's transmitted. Do they match? And then kung may duda pa kayo, let's open the ballot box. Check the ballots against the actual electronic results. Plus, another thing, parang home TV shopping, wait, there's more. So, the ballots also, once you're feeding it, this takes an image, it captures the image, or let's say in layman's terms, a photo of the front and back of the ballot. So you can check the paper ballot as against the photo of the ballots as against the electronic count. So again, very many security features to really guard against fraud or cheating.
Okay. On this note, let's end this first part. I'd like to thank Ellie, Karen, and Migs for conducting this live demo of a vote counting machine. This is Smartmatic meets Inquirer Multimedia. Please stay tuned for the second part where we will have more questions and more answers. Thank you.